Good to see everybody. Appreciate everybody being here. Good practice, beautiful day. Guys in great spirits, enthusiastic about practicing, and looking forward to a very important game against a division rival who we have great respect for. So we're preparing to play the best that we possibly can on Sunday. With that, I wanted to make mention of Damar's situation and just how much our hearts go out to him and his family, and how much we respect what happened at the game Monday night in terms of the medical people and how well they acquitted themselves, and something that we're really very proud of and impressed by. And also, I was just impressed by the two head coaches personally. I thought the way they handled it was just exemplary. It was something to be proud of as a coach in this league, and I just thought it was very impressive the way they did. And we've been praying and reached out to the Bills organization. Our organization has. I've reached out personally to my friends there, including Sean and Lenny Vandenboss, so Leslie Frazier. So we love those guys, and that's where we're at with that. So with that, what questions do you have?
Sean, had you ever at any level of football seen something like that hit you the way that what you saw on Monday did? And did it kind of remind you, I guess, what these guys put on the line just to do this?
Right. Well, the thing we talked to the team about was this idea. It takes a lot of courage. It takes a lot of courage to do a lot of things in life, and it's good to remember that. And I think if there's some good that comes from these types of circumstances, is that I think we all have an opportunity to see the humanity in these kinds of endeavors, whether it's football, which in this case it is. And I told the guys, it takes a lot of courage to play football. It takes a lot of courage to coach football in the National Football League for different reasons. So just honoring the guys in that room that we were talking to as we kind of talked through what happened on Monday. And then the idea that not just football, but all other walks of life, what people do, maybe we find ourselves in a position to acknowledge what people go through, and treat people with respect, and the dialogue a little bit, maybe a little bit more respectful and a little nicer towards one another sometimes, and that's what it made me think about, and I was hopeful for that as I watched that whole event unfold.
How do you think your players have handled it, or did you have to, I don't know, counseling or have a meeting or something?
Right. Well, we had a Zoom meeting available, and Dr. Trish does an amazing job, and our team chaplain Johnny Shelton does a great job. We just have incredible professionals here, and they made certain resources available. I don't know who has used the resources. I know our guys talked about it in their position rooms. That was something that some of the coaches talked about. They talked a little bit about it and had a chance to kind of air their thoughts on it. So that's as far as we went with it. As far as their response, they've been great in terms of, I think they understand the circumstances of it and what kind of a situation it was. And they're just very thankful that so far, hopefully, things are going to be okay, and they're hoping and praying for that. So that's where we're at with it.
John, awkward transition. You have a game to play Sunday. Have you been made aware from the league? You guys still have a division title to play for? So.
Right, yeah, we don't know that. We know the game's going to be at 1 o'clock. I think that just came out, so we kind of knew it was going to be at 1 or 4, so we found out about 1. So we're planning on playing the game. All the other stuff's out of our control. We would be excited to be playing for the division, crown. That's something that we're hopeful for, but that's really beyond us. Our job is to go win the game. I mean, our job is to go win the football game, and really to do that, we need to control the process, which is play the best football that we can. We think we're capable of playing great football, and we've been playing great football in a lot of ways and a lot of times. So we really want to try to put it all together.
Do you think it feels different that you'll be playing one of the two teams that was involved in that? Have you given that any thought?
Yeah, I realize that. I don't really know what to make of that, but I think that both teams handled it well. The Bengals handled it very well, and that's really all I can say about it.
John, so it's so important in football. You like the routine of it, and then every day kind of the life, game week is all lined out. With so much kind of uncertainty kind of swirling around it, and the emotions of what happened Monday. Just give me the challenges of getting ready with all that extra going.
Right, Pete. Good question. Really, it's we know we're playing the game at 1 o'clock. We know our opponent. We know that they're going to be out there putting their best foot forward, playing their best. We know what a challenge it's going to be. So it's not hard in that sense because we know it's in front of us.
So, John, nobody from the league has told you, though, that you're out of the, running for the division title or anything of that regard.
Right.
And you mentioned that the courage players show taking all this on, and just given what happened on Monday and what the reaction has been to it in the last couple of days, do you think more people sort of nationwide are coming to appreciate that maybe even than did before?
That's a great question, and I think a good point. I sure hope so. I mean, there are a lot of things that are hard to do in life. People work 35, 40, 45 years at their jobs, and show up every day and do a great job, and how kind of resilience that takes, how tough that is. So football is like that, it's a different, everything's a little different in its own way, and I do appreciate the fact that this is an opportunity to acknowledge that, and for me to acknowledge that to our players. That's how we respect our players. We treat our players with respect because we honor what they do. It's a tough sport, and I really just appreciate what they do.
Coach, you're going to slow the Bengals down last time you played in their offense. You saw these as a blueprint the second time around, or are they a different team?
Well, they're the same. They're the same, but they're better, than they were then. They've continued to improve. It's just a mark of a good team. There is no blueprint to use that word in terms of stopping anybody really, but we have a game plan, and we're going to try to execute it to the best of our ability.
John, after these past 2 days, do you go into a practice like today knowing what you're going to get, or are you just kind of waiting to see how they respond to being out there again?
Right, Jonah. I tell you, I knew what to expect because I just know our guys. Our guys are, we talk about everything. Everything's kind of out front and out in the open. If guys have concerns, they bring it up. But our guys are, they're about the task at hand. They're excited to play. They didn't, show anything different than that, and they were looking forward to practice today.
John, you mentioned that it was also hard to be a coach in the league. Can you explain a little bit of that, or how hard it is to see a player, go down, or how hard it is for you to know what these guys, put on the line every day?
Right. Well, like I say, every profession has its challenges. Coaching is no different in the terms of challenges. I think a lot of times with the families, that's a big part of that, challenge that people don't necessarily understand and recognize. But beyond that, I don't think you coach any sport if you don't really admire and love the people you're coaching, and kind of as teachers, you feel that way about your students, right? So you want to see them do well, and you want to see them be successful and thrive and prosper.
But how hard was it for you to see what happened?
Yeah, it was challenging because you put yourself in the shoes of the people involved, and you could see yourself on that sideline trying to deal with it. And you try to think to yourself, well, what would I do? How would I think in that situation? Like I said, I admired the two head coaches very much for the way they handled it.
John, we didn't see Lamar out there again today. Do you expect him to be ready for the postseason?
I'm just probably going to leave all that stuff alone. I'm going to focus on the game and just get ready to coach our guys and have our guys get ready to play the game.
We saw Tyler was kind of limited throwing the ball a little bit out there. Is he still dealing with that shoulder injury?
Yeah, like I said, I'm just going to leave all that stuff alone. Yeah. Appreciate the question, though.
Good to see Marcus Peters back out there.
Good to see Marcus out there, absolutely. Clayus will be out there tomorrow, so there you go.
I didn't ask that.
All set?
Thank you, John.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.